public meetings, if this is a standing committee of the board or an ad hoc committee of the board, the public would be fully engaged. But I think and things have been brought to me by the city of Fort Bragg, things that we're not doing, that the city is doing, that we absolutely need to be looking at. So I think that we really need to look at that. Mr. Simpson talked about the planning department, what can we be doing there? Because if we can get things expedited, then certainly that impacts us down the road on the revenue side. But we need the money to do that. How do we how do we go with all due speed towards implementing fees that will be commensurate with the services provided and get things rolling? I think if we look at our planning fees and compare them to surrounding counties, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, and that's one of the dilemmas that we've faced for as long as I've been on this board, is that we really don't have the staffing levels to do the kind of public service that I think we ought to be doing. And fees are, I think, a component of that this board has really dodged. So I hope we take a very serious look at that next year. I think that we need to look to any and all of these actions and continue the discussion and see if we can have a more specific motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Who is next?
I'd just like to remind Supervisor Smith that back in August, we went through the issue of solid waste fee increases. You can triple your solid waste franchise fee 3 times if you want, but it doesn't help your general fund. That goes into a reserve account. Now, why don't we, if you want to go through that long thing, instead of raise those franchise fees, why don't we use the $2 million that's in that account right now and put $1 million into your budget shortfall, if you're going to go along with that argument? So, but as per county council, we can't take those franchise-free dollars, no matter what you raise them to, and use them to balance our budget. That has to be there, am I right, for the landfill closure accounts. So raising franchise fees on the solid waste department, to me, is off the table. Not only that, fees are regressive. When you have a declining economy, increasing taxes and raising fees is very regressive. You only can do that when things are really good. You don't go and tax people and charge people more fees when they're struggling paying their basic life support system as it is. So, but again, this franchise-free issue in solid waste is really off the table when it comes to solving our budget issues.
I'd like to respond to that, Supervisor, because the formula that is there is the one that's in place. Any additional fees, if we would go to the 12% level, which is what City of Willits, City of Ukiah, and City of Fort Bragg do, the above, I believe, to council, is it 5% we're at or 7%? In other words, what additional that we would implement as an action of this board, as a franchise fee, could be used for a different purpose. It wouldn't have to go to the contractual arrangement we have with the state for the landfill closure. That was my point, is the additional dollars that could be realized from raising those franchise fees, again, just to make them consistent with what our incorporated areas are, would go to the general fund, and it could be directed to the solid waste division to offset and do their operations. So it's in a direct savings to the general fund, and I believe it's somewhere in the range of $300,000.
Supervisor Delaware.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quickly, in terms of Mr. Simpson's comments on the rental car, that actually is our policy, Bobby. Not many departments are following it, but it's a policy we implemented several years ago because it does pencil out, and that's something we've encouraged up here, and the GSA director and I were giggling at your comments because you're right on, but we just need to actually do it, and we have, and we actually saved a lot of money, and additionally got rid of some pool cars. So Supervisor Pinches, I had some trouble following your motion, so my hesitancy on seconding it was in that regard. Trying to make this understanding that this is a first step in some many difficult ones to come. Looking at the 9 points here that we have before us in an effort to try to move this, I would move that we direct the CEO's office to focus on numbers 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And to me, those have the greatest likelihood for success, and I'd like to see that energy at this point in time focused on those. So it's 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. If that's something Supervisor Finch's that I think to a degree gets to where you want to go. So I'll throw that out there, Mr. Chairman. That was a motion.
So that was a motion.
I'll second the motion for discussion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to prioritize,
That's not really,
well, just,
My
It's a
only
group.
comment on my seconding is,
Yeah.
those are pretty vague, and those are gonna be followed up somewhat anyway, you know? And a lot of these have to do with, like I say, the meet and confer issues. I was trying to come out with, after a 2-hour meeting here this morning, coming out with something specific that we can do now. A lot of this stuff, what you're talking about, really I can agree with that, but they're basically meet and confer issues. I was trying to come up with a little bit of a nibble around the edges, or whatever you want to call it, but getting some stuff that we can do immediately. Yes, I agree with all these recommendations. They have to need to be followed up on, but, and talking with the unions and talking with county employees and all that. But I was just trying to get something that was more immediate.
well, certainly to something more specific, more immediate. Item 2 certainly does that. So just to make that point. Supervisor, let me go to the CEO. Comment?
Just a couple of quick comments while you're in the middle of a motion there. It is our intent to issue out after today's budget instruction a number of things under direction of the CEO's office. One, we will be mandating the elimination of both office dispensers for water and bottled water per previous discussion with the Board of Supervisors. It is our intent to tighten up travel policy relating. There have been instances where multiple employees have gone to the same meeting, and we're taking a look at tightening up all of those policies. You know, there have been several mentions today where we've talked about employees going to conventions. County employees and county management staff do not go to conventions. There are a number of training opportunities that are out there. There are a number of annual events that happen. They all are focused around work issues, budgetary issues. So the term conventions is just simply not accurate. We don't send county employees off to conventions. We did have, for